I talked about having, I think, my second kid having withdrawal symptoms from my SSRI that I was on while pregnant. And I think that's why maybe they had trouble eating soon after they were born, and it took them a little bit longer to get back up to their birth weight.
I am not saying this to exaggerate the closeness or the significance of the relationship between us. But if you think about how many hours I have heard her voice and how many hours she's heard my voice in the last 8 years, yeah, I'm closer to Swayze than I am to a long list of my brothers, sisters, cousins, and like friends from high school. There are a lot of people I have spoken to less than Swayze, and people I've listened to less, in this strange asymmetrical world we call YouTube. She has watched at least 10 YouTube videos on this channel. The number is probably a lot more than 10. Nothing wrong with that. All right? Swayze, the question I want to ask you is this. Of all the people in your life, was anyone a better friend to you than I was on this issue?
Some research suggests that the drugs are linked to an increased risk of miscarriage, while others focus on the implications for the developing baby, including possible birth defects and an increased risk of autism. It's not just the case that we need to take seriously the threats to the mother's health, the impacts on the baby's health. We have to view this in the context of the fact that the science indicates that the benefit from taking antidepressants is either very, very little or absolutely nil.
Swayze, you're surrounded by people who were enabling and encouraging when you decided to stop using toothpaste, when you decided fluoride was evil, and you lost a lot of your teeth as a result of that experiment. You're surrounded by loving, encouraging people who watched you go from being a somewhat naive philosophy major to being a rabid right-wing libertarian follower of Ayn Rand. And then they saw the collapse of that ideology, and they saw you go into science education. And then they saw the collapse of your interest in science education, and they saw you go into doing what you do now. You probably have a lot of warm and loving and encouraging people around you in your life. And it shows. I want to know, Swayze, did you have one person in your life who said to you, hey, you're causing permanent, irreparable brain damage to yourself and to your baby?
Maternal use of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, fetal growth, and risk of adverse birth outcomes. Yeah, 2012. SSRIs, just like cannabis and tobacco, negatively affected the growth of fetal head circumference. Does that sound like something you'd want to play with? Pregnant mothers should avoid taking SSRI antidepressants. They're hazardous to the developing fetus, cause withdrawal symptoms in the newborn baby, and induce biochemical and morphological abnormalities in the brain.
I talked about having, I think, my second kid having withdrawal symptoms from my SSRI that I was on while pregnant. And I think that's why maybe they had trouble eating soon after they were born, and it took them a little bit longer to get back up to their birth weight.
Swayze, I don't know how you responded to my earlier video calling you out on this that had brain damage in the title. I don't know if it was my video that made you ask your doctor about the possibility that your newborn infant was going through these symptoms because of withdrawal from the effects of the prescription mind-altering drugs that you were taking, despite the evidence that those drugs do real harm and that they do not have a real benefit.
I'll have some of this information appear on screen. I don't think it's going to help anyone for me to read it out. And I mean, maybe that's the most depressing part of being on the internet of all. All this research, all of it's out there. And most of it, it's not just that brilliant minds have gone into conducting the research in the first place and publishing them in peer-reviewed journals. There are also brilliant minds that have put a lot of hard work into popularizing these findings. People like Dr. Irving Kirsch, who have gone on the road and given lectures and toured and really explained to the world on mainstream television and here on YouTube and in lectures in university halls and so on and so forth, who've really broken it down and said, look, here's the hard science, here's the research, here are the statistics, but here's what it means. Here's the decision you have to make. And the decision you have to make is quit taking antidepressants. Unnatural Vegan, Swayze, stop lying to yourself, stop lying to the viewing public, stop poisoning your unborn child. Stop making the same kind of excuses that you came here on the internet in the first place to stand up and oppose. It's pseudoscience, baby, and it's killing you, even if it feels good every time you take that pill.
À-bas-le-ciel has like 2,400 videos, I think.